I have here on screen one page Streamlit local web application that simply implements a query analyzer and optimizer. As you can see here, I just pasted our previous query and executed this query. Once you click Control Enter, in this case because it's a text area, once you click Control Enter, it will trigger the whole analysis and optimization. And what's interesting in this kind of Snowflake integration is that a few commands come from Snowflake itself, but other commands, yeah, they act like commands here. You can see, for instance, if you switch to different other pages, tab pages, you can see that actually I issued the ChatGPT commands here, prompts. Let's analyze all this on the screen first, and then we'll go into the code. The query itself is being executed interactively, directly into our Snowflake account. And here I just show the result, whatever this result is, in a Streamlit data frame. If you switch to plan, I simply added this prefix in front of the query, of our query, and I got the query plan in a tabular format. Yeah, this way, these are the necessary steps to execute this query. Just remember, the query plan will analyze the SQL query without executing it. Okay. Then in the four remaining tabs, I just looked for help from ChatGPT. Description. Just like before, automatically I provide the proper prompt to get a description of the query. So ChatGPT, as you can see, split it up into different clauses and documented everything that was inside. This was very nice. This explains me what the query does. If you go into comments, it simply added the inline comments, yeah, in the SQL. So the SQL was unchanged, except that right now I have comments everywhere. So that's a possible variation of the description. Instead of having a separate description, I will get inline comments. Optimization. I asked ChatGPT to try to improve the performance of my query. It came up with different recommendations, which I can tell you they are very appropriate for this case. And look, it just came back with a slightly adjusted query, but is much better than nothing. And in the last tab, I asked for to encapsulate this one into a store procedure. So I can tell you, you can see here, it added this specific header. Okay, and it provided here a Snowflake scripting based store procedure. At the end, I have also an example of calling this store procedure using the call keyword. So definitely, this is of big assistance, and you can see how you can use ChatGPT as menu commands in an application like this one. Going back to the code right now, let's see. Everything is so easy because, yeah, definitely you can recognize here. Yeah, let's see these tabs, the tab interface. We create all these tabs, and in each different tab page, we do something different. We provide a query by default initially. Yeah, initially I had something else here, and yeah, let me get this out of the way. You see, explain using the tabular. Then this is for the plan. Then chat GPT based menus. Okay, and I already had this before. You can see what's happening. I say get chat response, and I prefix every. I send a query here in a specific format. You can see the Snowflake query, SQL query. Okay, explain, comment, optimize, create a store procedure. Okay, so I try to keep it very simple. Once again, everything could be improved. This is just a prototype, just to send you some ideas. As usual here before, you can see I have a get session, get chat response. What changed a bit, however, you can see that in the TOML file, I just created a connections underscore Snowflake is not a dot, okay? Because I want to individually get the account and the user from there. However, the password, just like the OpenAI key, I will save them and I will get them from environment variables. So, yeah, this is slightly different just to provide a certain variation. As for the rest, as you can see, this is just like a tab control based application.